All right, what's up, college football addiction? Few days off due to some weather issues, some power issues at my house, some internet outage issues due to the hurricane. Hey, if you were in the path, if you're still recovering from Helene, if you were impacted at all by Milton, our thoughts and prayers are with you. Obviously, much more important than any football game or anything we'll talk about today. But a little bit of a delay. We didn't do anything since Wednesday, I think, of last week. But back here to talk a little bit about Tennessee getting the job done. I had my buddy Sports Talk Jay on last week, and we talked about this game, talked about what this game meant, talked about trying to get the monkey off the back of Florida winning 17 of the last 20 until last night. And not a pretty win by Tennessee at all. At the end of the day, a win, right? And in rivalry games, things get weird. In games where teams are fighting for their coach's job, things get weird. In games where you play multiple quarterbacks, things get weird. Play against multiple quarterbacks, things get weird. In Tennessee, there are a lot of things to fix, but you were this close last night to having all those same things to fix, but feeling bad about it, or worse about it maybe even, with a loss. So Tennessee fans, I know that you're not thrilled with the way that it looked. I know you are happy with the win, and 100,000 plus people in that stadium last night when Sampson got in did not care how it looked. But Sunday morning, Monday morning quarterback, whatever, yeah, you're frustrated right now because it didn't look as pretty as it could have. And I get that. You wanted to beat Florida by more. You wanted to run the score up. You wanted to embarrass them. At the end of the day, you found a way to get it done. You're playing a team next week that you know very much about. We'll talk to Sports Talk Jay, I'm sure, at some point this week about it. So make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any of that. But you got out of there with a win. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters. Now, there are things that need to be fixed, but don't forget to celebrate the victories, especially against a team like Florida, a team that had won a couple of games in a row, had a little confidence brewing. You were coming off of a loss to Arkansas. You only get 12 of these guaranteed a year. Trust me, look at the football that's sitting over my left shoulder. You only get so many of these per year. Celebrate them when they come along. Now, all those things to fix. Obviously, the offensive line let you down at times. The tackles were taken advantage of at times. Florida does not have an especially good defensive line, and they still got pressure way too much in the first half. Now, that did get cleaned up. They did scheme that up better in the second half. Big shout out to the second half adjustments that Josh and his team made. Phenomenal. Much better. Nico played like a freshman again, another week in a row. He missed a lot. This game, Florida certainly could have blown this game open in the first half. I think Tennessee really, that gets undervalued some. Florida could have absolutely put the pedal to the metal and taken a 3-score lead to the half. I don't think anybody on here would disagree with that. You guys tell me in the comments if I'm wrong there. But at the same time, Nico missed a lot. And there were some wide open guys streaking down the Florida was really excited about the way their defense was playing, and their defense did play well. They put a lot of pressure on Nico. They got after him. They got after that offensive line, which needs to get shored up some because you got a good defensive line coming pass rush-wise next week. I don't know how good Bama's run defense is, which I think Sampson can take advantage of. We'll talk about that later on in the week. But I do think Nico missed a lot. That Florida was excited about their defense, but they had guys streaking past them all night. Nico just couldn't hit them, right? They were this far, they were this close, right? Like it wasn't like he was blatantly missing them by 10 yards, but they were this close to some of those long bombs going. And if that happens, if a fumble doesn't happen early, Tennessee had their shots in the first half too. Mostly Tennessee's defense stepped up and certainly went out and won them this game. From the forced fumble, I hated the play call by Napier on the 4th and inches when you got a 240-pound true freshman running back there playing quarterback that's as big as a running back or bigger. Just go get that quarterback sneak. Go up the middle and get that half a yard, those inches. He doesn't do it. I hated the 4th down call by Napier, but Tennessee still stepped up and made a play. Trey Wilson's one of their better players, and Tennessee stepped up, made a play. Napier credited in his postgame press conference the effort by the Tennessee corner that went and got the tackle there. A great play to stop them on 4th down. Obviously a great play to get the strip on the goal line there. And the defense stepped up when they had to. The special teams continue to put them in bad spots. Late in the 4th quarter, they continue to get stop after stop after stop. Obviously, Lagway gets the touchdown to send it to overtime late. But even then, you bounced right back. I mean, you keep giving them the ball inside the 30. Eventually, the other team is going to dot something up and score. You hate that it comes on a 3rd and long. But I do think the defense, for the most part, won you the game. They are the ones that kept Florida off the board. Well, Florida kept themselves off the board a ton, too. But second half, you shut him down. Once it was Lagway in there, Lagway looked different to me, and I'll talk about this more on a Florida review. But Lagway looked different to me when he was rotating the last few games, and even in this game, as opposed, and then when he got in and had to be the guy, he looked different. I don't know if that was pressure, I don't know what, but credit to him, he did step up on that third and long, get the touchdown. My take is Napier should have gone for 2. I thought once it went to overtime, you were pretty sure that Tennessee was going to find a way to win it. Their running game just too good. You give them 25 yards, they're going to go score. I wasn't confident that Florida could continue to score pound for pound with Tennessee, with the true freshman quarterback back there. Although Nico's a freshman too, redshirt. But once it got to overtime, that was a huge win. I think that Florida should have gone for 2 there. Tennessee fans, let me know what you think. Would you have been nervous had Florida gone for 2 there? I certainly would have as a Tennessee fan. As somebody who preferred Tennessee to win the game due to my rivalry and allegiances, I probably thought Florida should have gone for 2 there. And you at least you go down swinging. You know, you don't look like a coward. You don't look whatever. You know, if you didn't want to. Napier got him to burn the timeout. Obviously, that's a win because then Tennessee couldn't go down there late. They had one less timeout to use. If you wanted to have them use a timeout, just line up in a normal formation, have them use a timeout, and then come out in the trick play. I think that would have been smart by Napier, but again, that's asking a lot of a coach that's probably on his way out. Special teams needs to get better for sure, but at the end of the day, you found a way to win. I think it ended up not even mattering because you end up throwing a pick a couple plays later. But the fourth down call, that was Madden level, or I guess EA College Football, which is over the other shoulder, over the right shoulder this time. That's the 2014 version. I didn't get the hard copy of this year's game when it came out, but EA College Football 25. Going for it on 4th and 1 from your own 11 is the most cojones, gutsy call that I maybe have ever seen. So I'm obviously a Florida State guy. I don't really hide that. That's assigned Bobby Bowden football above me. It reminded me, and don't get mad at me, Florida State fans, but it reminded me of the guts of the punt Ruski. Like, it reminded me of Bobby Bowden pulling out a trick play deep in his own territory to beat Clemson in the late 80s. Like, that's what it reminded me of, that kind of gutsy of a call. Except he didn't use trickeration. He just lined up and said, hey, we're going for this. And I thought, he's just going to try and get him to jump off sides. There's no way they really do this. And when he snapped that ball, and then they didn't quarterback sneak it, he handed the ball off to the side, and I'm like, oh no, what if this doesn't work? It did end up working. Gutsy call. It didn't matter in the grand scheme. They throw a pick a little bit later, but the defense, again, steps up for them in a huge way. Florida getting down to the red zone 4 times and only getting 3 points out of it early in the game that's insane. That is gross mismanagement. Florida wasn't supposed to win this game anyway, so you could certainly play the moral victory game if you're on their side and say, well, they coached them up and they were able to. No. Napier lost in this game. Their players played, I'm not trying to take anything away from Tennessee fans. You let me know again what you think in the comments. I think I stay pretty objective on this, and I was cheering for you in this game. There's no doubt about it. I've been pretty open about, the way that my personal allegiances fly. But Napier lost in this game. And Tennessee stepped up and took it, but it shouldn't have even been able for Tennessee to be there to take it, right? You just score a touchdown. You just you kick a field goal with the right number of guys on the field. Napier, gross mismanagement. And, the moral victory game would be like, well, you played close against a top 10 team on the road in a hostile environment against a rival, and you almost found a way to win. You took it overtime, whatever. He lost them this game, right? And that's nothing to take away from Tennessee, but Napier was horrible. Sampson was great. His determination there in the fourth quarter. I liked the way that Josh Heupel went for it there late. Heupel went for it there in the overtime period, not just relying on the kicker, not just saying like, hey, we'll settle for 3 because we've got it in the bag. No, you never know what could happen. Bad snap, false start, whatever. Like you don't leave it to chance there. So I thought that was impressive. And his determination, ended up with 3 touchdowns. He was, probably the player of the game. He was really, really good. And you needed it because Nico wasn't great. I like the way he threw the ball in overtime some. It wasn't just conservative. Really went for it. And Sampson I thought on the play before the touchdown, I didn't think his forward progress was stopped. I don't know what the refs were doing there. But yeah, he was a man among boys. I think he could have a really good week next week. So you're Tennessee, you still have the 1 conference loss. You still really have everything you want out in front of you, right? And it looks like it's going to be tougher to maybe accomplish some of the goals. But Bama, again, didn't look great. Talk about them in another video today. That's on the page if you want to go check it out. Some thoughts there. But Bama didn't look great, and I think their run defense is suspect. I think Samson could get off next week too. Nico's got to be a little sharper for them to win against Bama, but it is at home. It's a massive, massive matchup for Tennessee. Obviously, you win it, I think you keep your playoff hopes alive. You lose it, and you're hanging on for dear life, right? You lose it, and you got to go upset Georgia and beat everyone else on your schedule, I think, to make the playoffs. So can they do that? I don't know. I don't think that Tennessee inspired a ton of confidence in them being an elite team at this moment. But I don't think Bama did against South Carolina either. And so, that game's going to be a ton of fun. We are absolutely going to talk with Sports Talk Jay about it. We'll bring some Bama folks on to talk about it as well this week. So again, make sure you're subscribed. But at the end of the day, a gutty, gritty win by Tennessee. You had to have it. You had to get it done, and they found a way to do it. So big hats off to the entire team. Hey, Nico was not amazing by any means, but he found a way to play a little bit better and in the second half make some passes and get some things going. And overtime, he was really good too. And so, yeah, shout out to Tennessee for getting the win and getting it done. Again, appreciate you guys as always for tuning in. If you were impacted at all by Milton, our thoughts, our prayers are with you. We had very minimal impact here in my house outside of power down for a few days. So we're thankful for that, and we're thankful for you turning in today. We'll talk to you soon. As always, Tennessee's been a fun team to cover the highs and lows this year on College Football Addiction, and we're going to continue to do it. We appreciate you guys, and talk to you soon here on College Football Addiction.